Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We are in for another high consciousness conversation with this incredible way shower and ascension teacher, Sandra Walter. Sandra, thank you and welcome back to this very sacred space.
Oh, thank you so much, sister. Always a pleasure to connect with you. Hi, everyone.
Always a pleasure, always a pleasure. And so here we are, we're tapping in and tuning in. You are on the forefront of the ascension process. You are on the forefront of the embodiers, and your collective of embodiers is going through an experience. Let's tap in and tune in. Wow, this gateway into this new year has been intense. Some people have left the planet, and that's shaking some things up. What has been happening or experienced by you?
Well, goodness, where do I begin? So, every year, I step away mid December through mid January. And that's when I receive what's going to unfold for the next year. And it's usually a very transformational passage for me. I get some time to step away from the collective and really be with Gaia and be with my guides and my true self and kind of feel into what's unfolding. Now, of course, we had all these extremely strong energies over the last couple of months pushing us into 2020, which serves as like one giant gateway. Everything has completely changed. And the passage that we went through, eclipse to eclipse, of course, I mean, if you didn't feel it, you were dead. It was just incredibly strong. And again, very purposeful, very purposeful. And myself as a gatekeeper working with those energies and seeing what they were doing to timeline structures, to DNA, to our consciousness, it became very profound what we were seeing for 2020, which kind of really didn't land until now. We're in the third week of January. So, nothing was going to be um, stabilized until after the eclipses. And now we're starting to get like the pure 2020 frequencies, which is incredible. So some of my experiences, and again, this is as a gatekeeper and a first embodier, I had a couple of really interesting experiences. The first one during this passage after the first eclipse, right before Christmas, was with Gaia herself. And of course, all of us are going through this emotional purge and this, transformation of the cells and the DNA. Is literally our DNA is telling our our consciousness, this constructs that we use to create a physical experience, it's telling it to do something else. That's the frequencies they're pouring out of the planet and pouring onto the planet. So we're already having this like really kind of discombobulated, surreal experiences. We went through these eclipses. So in the middle of that, I was connecting with Gaia, and I really wanted to feel into just her pure message for what 2020 held. I was like, hey, divine divine mom, what's going on for the next year? How can I serve? That's always the question. I don't want to get my personal agenda into it at all. uh, and I had my hands on the ground, and she put this wave of absolute pure divine love and divine light like shot up through me, which is the way that I connect with her. So I know it's her. And then she started showing me, look what I'm going to do. And it was very similar to the experience I had on the original 12, 12, 12, where she lifted the veils and revealed New Earth. And it was very similar to that, but I noticed the vibration within my body. I immediately had this, huge heart opening, but it was like all of my cells just went just went crazy, and it was just unbelievably beautiful. So she's like, I am going to reveal. And it was just all of a sudden, everything is New Earth, very similar to that experience. So that's on uh, several of the timelines. This is actual revelation of what we have created, what we have co-created with Gaia as one of the possibilities for this year. And I feel like that is why the energies are so intense. I feel that's why we're getting prepared for it. The other experience that a lot of us are having just in the last week or so with the first embodiers is the sensation of death or death experiences, not in a scary, weird kind of way, but you truly feel like the old self and the old constructs are dying, dropping away, and it's very difficult to describe. It's profound, it's surreal, it's definitely death. It's not a physical illness, although it feels very physical. You can have days where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm dying. It feels like a very palpable sensation of leaving the physical, but not in a weird drop the body death kind of way. It's more of and when I asked about this, uh, my higher level said it's the death before resurrection template being physicalized. And that's a lot of what we're seeing during this time is the physicalization of the breakdown of the old realities, the physicalization of the spirit self, the source as self. It's everything started in the etheric, everything's created in the etheric, and then it becomes physicalized. So right now we're getting this amplification because of the double eclipse sandwich that we had with Christmas in the middle of it and the new year and all that stuff. Very powerful. And it actually launched all of us into this accelerated amplification of preparing for this revelation. So the first embodiers, of course, get to feel a lot of the stuff first. But I also had this very strong experience of energies coming through the sun. If you've been following me for a while, folks, you know I've been saying the solar flash has been happening for several years. It's consistent. Those frequencies are already coming through. And when you connect with it, I had the strongest experience of this day before solstice in December, laying in the sun, and the frequencies coming in suddenly felt like it was a little bit shocking because all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And I felt like this wall of light uh, going through me, coming into me, and all of my cells were just it became like effervescent, like fizzing out into these glittery particles. And I literally just laid back and closed my eyes and said, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the moment, right? It was that intense. And I just laid back and it went on and on and on for like half an hour, just complete dematerialization of what I had created as a physical body. And I felt it go through my different layers of consciousness. I felt it affect my higher self. I felt it affect my I am presence. It was amazing. And then slowly came out of it. And then a couple weeks later, started having these death type experiences where I feel that because the energies are aimed at breaking down what we have all co-created, breaking down all the distortions, breaking down all of the miscreations it's a complete dismantling of all of those old constructs, because people are finally going to realize that 3D and 4D have been technically gone for a long time. And I know that was an unwelcome message when I said it back in 2011 and 2012 and 13, 14, 15, all the way through. I know it's an unwelcome message, but people are starting to realize that those old realities have been running on collective consciousness that didn't wake up, that didn't know any better. And kind while the awakened are creating this new construct with Gaia, and she has her ascension on the 12 12 12, and slowly revealing new earth, starting to overwrite and override the old realities, more people starting to feel that. But now it's kind of like push came to shove, it's time for the old realities to be dismantled altogether, and that includes all the control mechanisms and all that stuff is getting broken down at a much faster rate. So it's very important this year that people zero in on integrity, authenticity, timeline choice. Exactly what is it that you would like to create? Because our creator skills, when you're aligned with the heart, turns up the volume on your DNA. Your DNA is how you create these realities. So you, as your higher self, as your spirit self, you're creating through the DNA, and that's getting amplified. And that is the kind of revelation, resurrection energies, allowing for timeline choice. Divine return of absolute free will here. So that's yeah, that's 2020. Those are those energies right now. It's very strong. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a call for all light workers to really step up, continue to step up and create solutions and be in that new earth experience. We're certainly seeing the old fall away, and we're seeing as it falls away love. I do see threads of love through all of it. So that is hopeful. That is good, as that's part of the path for the collective, is to move into love. That's how we waken or shift our DNA, activate that DNA, and that's how we change the world. And that's how we change the timelines, right? I mean, look
The
at on the
timelines are
outer
already
world.
there. Yeah,
Hmm?
the timelines are already there. So there's actually 7 realms of the new earth available for a physical experience. There's infinite realms of higher timelines, and timelines are infinite as well, as far as moment to moment choices. But when it comes to collective versions of new earth as a crystalline physical experience, there's only 7 right now. There'll probably be more as we go along, but that was shown to me too. It's really interesting the way that works.
That
But
is very interesting.
yeah,
Seven
but
seven
it,
timelines.
it's not. It was specifically conveyed to me as realms,
Realm.
not as timelines. So
Okay.
the timelines are kind of like how we got here. How you navigate your personal choice. That's kind of how we got here. The ascension timelines were inevitable. It's we started back with the harmonic convergence, 1987. That's when the collective made a choice, like, yeah, let's go for the ascension timelines. And slowly over the years, we've been migrating everyone to those primary Christed timelines of ascension. And that's what we're riding into these new realms, new realities that are not time based. So even though timeline is a term that we use because we perceive things as linear, a lot of us are having a very surreal, less linear experience, because the way that you construct a linear experience is through the DNA, carrying what you were, what you are, and what you will be, and all those different possibilities, and then you're pasting it together. But when you do all your emotional clearing and you get over the past, that starts getting dissolved. it's called, it's a Akashic deletion, the astral collapse. All of a sudden, you don't have the 3D, 4D experience of linear this, then that, cause and effect kind of electromagnetic structure. And it dissolves, and you can't remember, what did I do yesterday? What did we talk about last week? What just happened? You start losing the density, the glue, the memory fields that created your linear experience. So when you start moving in, you use the timelines until you don't need them anymore. And then you're kind of flowing, matching uh, that realm that Gaia described a couple of years ago, where she's like, everything is flowing, everything's created, uncreated. There's no disharmony because nothing disharmonious is allowed to get through the filter. To be in that realm is like a bandwidth for an experience, and you migrate your consciousness to that through the ascension process, and that is ascension. All of a sudden you're one. And a lot of the experience that I've been having, especially in the past month, this eclipse really um, amplified that for me, is the experience of source as self. I'm experiencing a oneness with God, with the presence as my own consciousness, more so than not. And it doesn't take anything other than um, just a breath or a blink and awareness. And the presence of source is so strong, and it's so beautiful. And you also get this sense that I feel the collective might be misinterpreting. There's a sense of loneliness. There's that great mural in Mount Shasta, and it's, the last phrase is, the mountain is lonely as God. Um, and you do feel that it's not a loneliness, but there's definitely so much oneness and so much unity that you feel there's nothing else present but that thing. Like, you are suddenly not just one with everything. There's the beautiful expansive sensation of one with everything, and then there's the thing that's right beyond that, is the actual oneness. And there's nothing else, and you feel like a complete fusion with source. It's really beautiful. But there is this, it's like a beautiful loneliness. It's a beautiful, profound sense. But I feel that frequency, and because we're all connected now, this is, you were going into unity consciousness. So the folks that are practicing unity consciousness, doing the Sunday unity meditations, getting aligned with the collective, there's we start to have, very similar experiences. That's been happening with Ascension for a while. And as it becomes kind of fine tuned, you can feel like the effect on the collective. People feeling like, oh, am I dying? I'm feeling this loneliness. It's not depression, but there's definitely like, wow, everything is changing. Wow, I'm letting go of everything. And it, of course, amplifies, and we feel different phases of that during our ascension process. And the death thing definitely happens so many times during our ascension process. But these new frequencies are bringing in this fine, this refinement of all those experiences. And the whole, I don't know, since this whole passage feels so surreal and so, like, I mean, things are happening. I was not allowed to be like in a retreat monk like or anything. There's been all kinds of stuff going on. But I just kind of stepped away from social media and regular posting, just to go, okay, this is my tap in time. I want this experience. But the sensation of flow, and a relief, really. It's really a relief, kind of like, hey, you're going to become something absolutely different. I got a message I wrote down, that we haven't even, my higher levels, which are very merged with me now. So it feels kind of silly to go, my higher self said, because it's not separate from me at all. I'm having this very unified experience. So my message to myself was, hey, you haven't even experienced the true self yet. Like all of this, like through the whole ascension process, like this is what got you to here, and now something completely new, which is fascinating to me. They're like, you haven't even had a glimpse of it yet. Just like these are the things that lead you, that get your cellular structure and your DNA and your consciousness expanded enough so you can handle it without going bananas. Because that's always been a concern, right? Psychological fallout from the shift. Everyone was concerned about that. I know a lot of people are going to lose it this year and lose their lives too. There's a lot of death this year. And that's something that I saw, going through the trajectories. They're like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people dropping off. It's fine, and a lot of kingdoms and elementals, animals and things transitioning too. We already saw that in Australia, and yeah, it's sad for us, because we're like, oh, because you want everything to stay the same, right? Forget it. Forget it. So when you see these things happening, there's purpose to everything. It's like, wow, we have to look at it from a collective perspective, a higher perspective of like, what is the collective need right now? You need to put your priorities in order. It's like you need to open your heart. You need to get aligned with what do you really care about? If we care about our our forests and our animals and everything like that, it's like, oh, maybe you need to be more aware of that and apply it to your own life, because it's all a reflection of like, what are we still doing that's out of alignment? What is it? Just transformation? There's a lot of dismantling energies, and of course they get physicalized, and then people are going crazy, like, because it looks like one thing, but it's actually a representation of something that's happening in a different dimension. Try to maintain perspective and self correct your own path for exactly the kind of earth and the kind of experience you would like to have. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. How, so when you're experiencing these, this flow and this beautiful oneness within yourself, where you're no longer calling yourself your higher self, it's just this oneness.
Mm.
Are you able to hold that? What brings you out of it?
Well, I'm having the same multi-dimension. There's not one thing. There's not one version of Sandra going, everything's cool. Not like that at all. Completely multi-dimensional experience. So I am weeping just like everybody else, feeling a deep sense of like weeping as if you're heartbroken sometimes. That's part of the clearing. And I understand that, I understand that in order to get more light in, you got to weep a lot, so I'm allowing that to happen too. But it's not a weeping and a clearing like it used to be, because you totally get it. You can sit down with your own body vehicle and your own consciousness and go, I need to release now. It's like that much light coming in that you need to release. You need to move. You need to meditate, a lot of meditation, and it's a lot of the time it's stopping everything. I'm not capable of plowing through a whole day in the unconscious way of busyness at all anymore. Just complete integration and being very sovereign about that. Kind of like, not now. I'm doing this, or not now. I need to meditate. I need to walk. I need to do this. Being very sovereign about that, and extreme self care, because I know that the physical experience, not just the physical body, but the physical experience is being changed. So, whatever that takes, whatever that takes. So it's not some flowy, blissy kind of thing. I tried to describe that when the bliss activation started happening last year. Extreme bliss, extreme peace. It's not a bouncing off the walls kind of thing. It's an extreme calm. And we've been told, stay in the eye of the storm, stay in the center of your own Taurus fields and stay in that calm as much as you can. That doesn't mean not feeling things. You're going to feel everything. But in order to maintain a higher or a broader perspective, the cosmic perspective, uh, it takes some moment to moment choices to maintain that. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to just take a quick pause here and I'm going to share this image on the screen. We are here with Sandra. She is revealing the energies of 2020. We're going to be in an after party here coming up in about 35 minutes. And that after party is on Zoom, and it's a way that you can ask a question to Sandra. She is here to assist all of us in this shift. You can get an after party ticket on Zoom on the webpage there on the screen. It's at acoustichealth.com. When you purchase Sandra Walter's offer or any of the items in her offer, you will get a ticket to that event coming up on our after party on Zoom immediately following this live stream. Well, Sandra, thank you so much. I would love for you to share some insight. This energy that we've been through, it's going to continue all year. Can you give us some of these gateways of, here we're going to come up into the Easter time in the very sacred month of May
Mhm.
as well. And that's the resurrection energies, but it doesn't stop there, it continues.
Right, right. Well, right now we're kind of being prepared. So a very strong there's a very strong passage from March equinox toward the end of March, all the way through mid June. Now there's a couple of interesting things that are on those higher timelines, let's say, those higher experiences. And I'm speaking specifically for embodiment. So I don't make predictions about what's going on with like politics or anything like that. It is what it is, and that's, I don't deal with that at all. I do deal with the sun, and this is very exciting for me because we've been in solar minimum up until last spring, and then the sunspots started showing reverse polarity. So now we're coming out of solar minimum, and we're coming back into the next phase of the sun where she goes into solar maximum. And I'm very excited because that means sunspot activity. And we had our first CME of the year. Boy, did I feel it. It's just exciting for me because I get to deal with predicting solar flares and solar activity. And that's like an exciting part of my journey. And I'm just like, oh, we get to work with the sun like that again. And I feel that's why I was given that experience of the solar flashing activity in such a strong way. I'm like, oh, okay. Because if I feel it during my passage, that means that that's coming for a lot of people. So I'm actually going to be talking a lot about how to experience the solar flashing activity that's already happening, because as the veils come down, that'll be more palpable for everybody. And that also means that our magnetic fields are going to start to shift. So when we get to like the bottom of solar minimum, that's when the magnetic fields and everything are at their weakest because we've had no solar flare activity. So we see strong magnetic and electric anomalies as something that will be predominant in our experience for 2020 and going into 2023. So there's some very weird things that are, and they're already starting to occur, which is really exciting. Um,
Like the electronics, right? Like cell phones,
no,
internet connections.
like actual electricity zapping out of the ground, like what happened in Norway like a week or and a half ago. Like all of a sudden, this strange band of electricity just like came out of the ground.
Well,
You
are
know,
those activating portals
well,
or
it's
it's
not
just a release
portals.
of
It's
energy?
no. So we have a brand new gate and grid system as of January 13th. This just happened. So all of the old grid systems, we're talking ley lines and all the old ancient structures that kept 3D and 4D in place, and we were working with them and everything, finally gone, dead, like just throw them away. And the new Earth crystalline grid system that all the gatekeepers have been working on, the grid workers have been working on for quite a few years, that was the bridge grid for the new Earth realities. So all the focus shifts there, and now the magnetics will start changing. It's not just the pole shift kind of thing, but the actual crystalline grid system starts rewriting the lower realities. I mean, that's what it's there for. It's to support new Earth realities. You know, a realm where you have a different experience. So you're going to see again with these dismantling energies, a lot of magnetic anomalies, a lot of weird electrical things happening. Just weird things are going to happen. Yeah, and yes, of course, it's going to affect your electronics because they all have quartz in them. They all have crystals in them. So it, of course, it's going to affect that. But I'm really excited because the solar activity that's a cosmic Stargate system that opened up on January 13th. So after all the eclipses were done, and then you had the big Iluru and meditations and everything that same weekend was a preparation, a decision to open the cosmic stargates on the 13th. So, and that was predicted. That's been in the intel for a while. So it actually shifted everything to a brand new gate system, brand new grid system. Very excited to teach and share about that because it's just now we're woven back into the cosmic stargate system. So we get energies from different stars in a different way, pure frequencies, actually realigning with frequencies from different star systems and different galaxies that support, again, that higher realm. So all the focus goes to the higher realm experience, which is wild. It's wild that we're at that point in our journey. So the solar activity, electric gravitational anomalies, a lot of gravity things going to happen this year, and you'll start to feel it too. Sometimes we had a gathering on the 12/12, which was the strongest thing I've felt yet as far as holding people in an open gateway. It was really wild. We had a gathering of 147 um, gatekeepers, grid workers, and folks who who showed up going, "What? What are you doing?" And we opened up this gateway, and people had this palpable experience of what it's like to be a gatekeeper. It was so great. Hard openings, like, "Oh my God, what's happening to me?" I'm just like, "This is what it's like to be in an open gateway," and just to be able to provide that shared experience, because it's all, we co-created it. It was just really wild. But it was mentioned on the 12/12 too, right before that happened, because it was a very strong gate. I was like, has anybody else had the feeling like, the ground's moving, or like, oh my gosh, we just had an earthquake, or all of a sudden it's just like, boom, and you're like, whoa. It's, Gaia's adjusting. And again, don't stare at the kind of brick and mortar reality as the real thing. It's the energy, the higher thing that's breaking down the old structures, and you see that reflected in everything: relationships, politics, finances, everything, dismantling, deconstruction. It is what it is. Put all your focus on creating the new thing, because your creator skills are amplified. So if you stare at the dismantling and keep repeating over and over again, oh my gosh, look at that, oh my gosh, look at that, your focus goes there, and the next thing you know, you're on in that realm. You're experiencing that deconstruction. And like a lot of people have made the choice. I'm going for the new earth reality, and that's not escapism. That means I have chosen to be a creator of peace and harmony, and I'm going to walk through this as my higher I am presence, and be able to completely not control, but completely be a conduit for that energy to work right through me and self correct things in alignment with divine will. Huge amount of surrender, no ego involved whatsoever. And watch it, because if you get your ego involved, these energies are aimed at integrity, authenticity, the dissolvement to the old egoic structures, the old mental structures, the old emotional structures. It's all getting dismantled. So watch yourself.
Yes, watch yourself. And we were chatting, I was sharing personally in my own life as well, how that really, the energies rocked me to the core. But
Mhm.
again, the key, for those who kind of think, uh-oh, watch out, watch yourself, really the ticket is, would you say it really is this choosing the love, like you say, and if it's as simple as that, that's the roadmap. So just don't watch. I love how you always repeat that. Don't watch the crumbling and the dismantling, because those
Yeah.
creator energies are so supportive and amplified right now.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean
Sandra,
ignoring it. It doesn't mean like denying that it exists. It's like, oh, that's an experience. I'm choosing a different experience. It's not walking away from the koalas that need a drink because of the fires. It's not that at all. It's the action of you going out and watering the koalas, and saving them and everything. That shows, demonstrates, you have to take that action, demonstrate your choice of, I don't want suffering, so let me help out as much as I can. It's not sitting at home going, oh, I'm just going to be divine love, I'm just going to be divine love. I mean, technically there's nothing here but love. So when you take a breath into that and go, everything else is the illusion. Okay, I'm just going to put my focus on being the presence of the kind, the peacemaker, doing the global meditations, creating that, because whatever muscle you flex grows, right? So, demonstrating your choice, following that. It's not even a passion. I wouldn't call it a passion. It's just there's a deep core decision, like, all right, I'm really going to go through with this. I think a lot of people are going to see the result of whether or not their ascension process has been on track or not. I mean, there's a lot of discernment. Not judgment, but a lot of discernment, and also integrity, um, giving credit where credit is due. Authenticity. There's a lot to be said for all the mastery skills. Really being you. And if you need to spend time with that alone, combing through journaling out or weeping over what you've created, because this is not just what the dark has created. It's not about that. It's what everyone as a collective consciousness, the oneness of humanity, has created all together. The old realms getting dismantled, that includes your own creations. You're allowed to let things break down. You're allowed to change things. But when you see things crumbling, you're like, oh, that was so not my higher choice, and it becomes very clear. So then you're like, okay, just automatically, okay, got it.
yeah,
You don't have to go, oh my God, like, just to have a big hissy about what you've created. Just change. Just
yes.
change.
We saw that last year really pushing all of us to change and to shift. And I loved, as we move with these energies and we see that things may not be aligning in a certain way, that is when we slow down and we just say, okay, it really is all right. And that means not being so hard on ourselves. So many of us are so driven And we're so amped up for 2020. And we want to help out and launch our new service. Your Wayshower course is like game on, right? Where people are learning. And so we really do have to remember just to go with that flow. And sometimes that flow is not accelerated. So we just deal with that, right? We just flow
Right.
with it. Will you, with these energies and with the 7 realms of new earth that are available to us and the magnetics that are changing, your meditations are so beautiful into bringing us into neutrality. Can you lead us in an experience for new earth now that we can learn to recognize the shifting magnetics or
Yeah.
align with those flows and the higher realms, those 7 realms?
Yeah. And you can do this anytime. Just settle into the heart. Take a breath, hands on the heart. Breathe into the core of your beingness that connects you to all that you are and all that is. And there's an absolute stillness there. That 0 point where everything just collapses. Just allow it to collapse into that calm, collapse into the stillness. Going within, 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 breathe. And just let everything that you've created just drop away right now. Just be here with Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, with Source. And even just that, just being the one, just being with Source, as Source, having an experience, knowing that you are God, knowing that you are a divine presence, and just forget about all the multidimensional aspects. And I came from this planet, that star system. I'm an angel. I'm a master. I'm a star fam. Forget all of that. Just let it all dissolve. And from the pure presence I am, from that almighty I am presence, the silence, the stillness where there's no creation, there's nothing here. The void, you might see light, you might see darkness. From that pure point of pure creation, call forth a brand new experience of loving kindness, of being divine love, without any interference or distortion, just the pure presence of love. However, your unique fractal shines that love into these realms, whether it feels like peace, divinity, joy, might feel like light or gratitude. And hold that in your heart. Just breathe with it. Let it slowly amplify, like the birthing of a new star. Just let it spark, twinkle, birth. Remembering the purpose, the idea of divine love expressing through you. And from that creator state of beingness, birth a brand new planet that is harmonious, clean, a clear, clean slate. And it has no motivation other than to express love, bringing in sound that expresses that intention, harmonics, colors, bringing in plants and animals, landscapes, divine humans. Bringing in other forms of beingness, pure creativity, and feel in your heart, in this now moment, that activity of creating through that pure intention. Highest love, highest light, the most beautiful, wondrous planet that is a divine reflection of that crystalline creator state of consciousness, pure, divine, joyful, grateful, like creating a prayer to God through a planet. Envision how all of your creations interact with each other. Abundance, prosperity, and creativity, beauty, highest levels of beauty. All expressing a gratitude and a glory of pure creator beingness. Now hold that experience in your heart. Hold that vibration in your heart. And that's your garden. It's your little Garden of Eden in the heart. You can visit that anytime. And when you create that vibration through your fields, your DNA and your realities will automatically, when you feel it strongly and you have that intention, your DNA and your energy fields will attempt to create that. So you're actually telling your subconscious and your conscious mind, your conscious energy fields and your awakened DNA to create that as your reality. So the more that you visit it, the more that it becomes your creation. And the more that you do your ascension practices, meditate, forgiveness, gratitude, all of that will vibrantly amplify your creator skills because you're reunifying with the divine. Beautiful. Take a breath. Open your eyes. Beautiful. And then practice that. Gaze out with the eyes of Source. See the love. Find the love in everything. Because where your focus is, where your focus goes, that's where the energy flows, right? And that's your experience of new earth now. You can walk around in that state, brothers and sisters. Totally doable. No matter what's going on. Being grateful for the clearing, not thinking that it's something outside of yourself. Be inclusive. That's unity consciousness. It's not they're getting theirs, look at that person, look at my neighbor doing the wrong thing. Zero judgment. Stay neutral. Divine neutrality is the way to go because it gets very surreal. The more that you align with the cosmic heart and the cosmic mind, the more surreal your journey gets. And honor your own unique experience this year because it is going to be unique. It's odd that unity consciousness becomes such a unique thing, but it's the crystallization of what we really are. We've been operating as like mimics and obeying, constructs and the ego and the mind and the emotions and trying to fit in and everything. This is not the year to fit in. This is the year to express your creativity and your creator state of consciousness as something unique to you while we go into unified consciousness. Unity consciousness is unity with the Godhead, but we see the reflection of our ability to unify with everything that's going on as we go through that. There's peace. Yes, you're going to resonate with some people. There are no two exact matches for resonation on in any realm because otherwise you would be the same thing. So you're always a little out of phase with everything. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the experience of separation. But as we get more into unified consciousness, really honor the experience, but also honor your own journey. Thank you, sister.
Oh, thank you, sister. We are feeling that. And that's a really powerful technique. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Mm,
you.
you're welcome.
As we all do this, we are bringing new earth here. And that is so hopeful. And we're so excited. We can feel the excitement.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would love for you to share how people can work with your courses because all of those courses, for one thing,
Mm,
they're so beautifully produced. They are
thank you.
so filled with light.
Thank
They are
you.
filled with practical experiences and courses, um,
Mm,
practical tools that people can use
mhm,
for their business, for this upgrade in service. And I love that. That's the Way Shower course. And that one is something that is good for any person. And again, it's based all in love.
yeah, it's not about how to run your spiritual business. It's how to run your life in alignment with being. It is provided for people who either want to or are already in public service. So if you're somebody who hasn't found your voice, you're afraid to turn on the camera, you're afraid of this, afraid of that, or whatever, it gives you all the tools that you need to actually step into sharing yourself, whatever it is, whether you're a healer or a singer or somebody who's changing systems. You're a systems buster or something. Like it's anybody who's doing something to change or create or express the new. And if you haven't taken my classes before, I put a lot of work into them. They're all professional video, professional meditation. Everything's recorded and they're extremely thorough. I know there's a lot of material in all of them, but you get a whole year to play with them. And some people come back, and kind of remind themselves, people have taken Ascension Path. We have Ascension Path in the package, right? Yeah.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
your original one. Beautiful. Again, I
Thank
can't
you.
say the quality of the course. It really is
Thank you.
so beautiful. So that you're a leader, just the quality of the work that you create is a leader in the industry as well.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. And I feel like even just last year I went through another up leveling of my classes and the way that I teach. And I had to make a conscious decision like, wow, I'm going to step into um, being that kind of a leader or that kind of I don't know. I mean, people are. a little judgmental sometimes about the term teacher or leader. They're like, no more leaders, no more teachers. I'm like, are you kidding me? You've got to have way showers.
We
You've
need
got to
new
have
earth
way showers.
leaders. We need new earth
Yeah.
leaders, way showers.
Yeah. Way
Yes.
showers, people who are capable of saying, let's all get together and create something new. It's not about, it's not the autonomous king anymore. It's not like that. It's really sharing whatever you have. If you're painting in a new way, if you're singing in a new way, if you're creating things, it's all about healing and awareness and consciousness. It doesn't matter what your expression is. The important thing is to get out there and do it with as much authenticity and integrity and and unique self-expression as possible. And we're all reaching for the cool way to express that aligns with how we see in our those of you who have the vision to kind of, or have had that experience of, all right, time is collapsing and my future self that's already doing this on new earth is getting integrated. And for me, that was the whole classes and teaching and leading and gatherings and events and things like that suddenly coming into my field. I thought I was like the person who was just kind of sharing and kind of like, okay, now you're on your own. And over the last 7 years, it's been like so it's really been kind of pushed into um, my journey. So I'm like, all right, then I want to do everything with as much uh, precision and clarity as possible. So I put a lot of that into the materials for the classes. So thank you.
Well, thank you again. Those are really beautiful. And there's a couple of bonuses that we include as well that I have to mention because they are timeless in the information. We did a mastery empowerment course with you on contact protocols, and those continue to get beautiful experiences reported back to us of people that do the work. I'm getting chills as I mention this. It really is very, very cool. And also your work with the crystalline DNA. We did
Mhm.
an online healing retreat on that. So
Yeah.
those are included. So we invite our um, viewers and listeners to check out the special offer. I'm going to show this page one more time so that you can see a couple of these quick links. So, whatever platform you're viewing or watching this episode on, there are links that you can click into to join us. If you purchase Sandra Walter's special offer, any of her courses in that offer, you will get a ticket to the after party that's starting here in just a few minutes after we say goodbye. This is our time on Zoom to come in and share with each other. Yes, it's a way to connect and see each other's faces and just support each other in this way. So we invite you to that. There's single tickets that you can purchase, or there's New Earth Creator memberships, which is really that support base for New Earth programs, New Earth springboards, New Earth creation. So thank you for that. Sandra, we have more questions than we can get to, but I'd like to bring in a question. Some of them you've already answered about really how we deal that state, that process that you led us through when we're feeling fear and anxieties. Really, that's where we should go, right into that space, that garden of the heart that we created today.
Yeah, because there's definitely something to be said about self-love as well this year. Because when things start to crumble, even in your own life stream, the self, the self-love, the love of God within, God as yourself, is quite profound when we're all going through these times. So be kind to yourself. There's and it's the simplest of things. It's just stopping. A lot of it is just stopping whatever it is that is wanting your attention or whatever, and going, wait a minute, how do I feel? How do I actually feel right now? What do I need? What is the highest thing that I can do? And I do this so often. What is the highest thing I can do in this now moment? Because I'm somebody who's in active service and I've got a lot going on. There's people, there's tribe, there's what I want to create, there's what needs to get created. I'm moving. I'm a gatekeeper. Gatekeeper is consistent this year. There's a whole new gate and grid system to work with and everything. You could go really bananas because I'm also going through the the emotional ousting of all these old structures. So a lot of us are just like, oh my gosh, you feel like you're dying, you feel like you're weeping. There's all these, and there's joy, and but it's not like a roller coaster for me. It's all kind of happening at once for me. So what I have to do is I really have to stop and go, what does Sandra need right now? And it's not like some kind of emotional band-aid of the past of like, oh, this always makes me feel good, I'm going to do this, and just try to like, there's no stuffing down of anything. There's no, oh, I'm going to go to some old habit. Those are all gone. You've really got to be clear in the moment of, how do I really feel, and what do I really know in my highest wisdom will either improve my mood, or do I just need to sit with this? What's the highest thing I can do for myself right now? And a lot of the time, it's just getting quiet. There's a lot of meditation, there's journaling, there's creativity, there's being in nature. There's a lot of talk with my brothers and sisters lately. We have been calling each other a lot, going, hey, I mean, when the Schumann is getting nuts, none of us are sleeping. So we can talk to it. We're kind of talking each other through the process. Those of us who are going through the kind of dying death sequences, we're checking in with each other. Hey, how you doing today? And a lot of that, it doesn't have to be long conversations. It's just these little sharings, these little things, because it's uh, it's a very surreal experience. And there is the temptation, like, oh, let me just for a lot of people, a lot of light workers too, when they get too sensitive or they start feeling too much, or I don't want to talk to anybody, I'm just going to go in my cave. um, there can be a lot of, oh, I'll just do that because that's what I used to do, kind of thing. And I've seen that just not work or not be good for people right now. Yes, there is the kind of stepping away from busyness, too much, scattered activity can be, bad. We do have to simplify, but don't withdraw. So if you're going to withdraw during a very strong amplification of unity consciousness, I wouldn't recommend it. Yes, there's stepping back. We're all very tempted, like, I'll see you next year. This year's going to be weird. I'm just going to shut down and I'll see you next year. I'm just going to do my own thing. We do simplify, but I wouldn't completely withdraw from everything. This is a time where you really need to unify, to be around other people who are having even a vaguely similar experience to yours, or doing sacred practices, or just getting together in the name of love, because you're going to find support and, of course, code exchange for that. I mean, I'm having an event Easter weekend in Sedona. The annual gathering just happened to land on Easter weekend. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's going to be completely different from anything we've done before. And I'm like, this is it, and it would be really tempting the way that we're feeling right now, uh, to like cancel everything for the year. Be like, you know what? Forget it. It's too intense. There's no way. There's no way that this is going to turn into something else. And we have to remember that we are the ones who are demonstrating to humanity what's possible with ascension. I close all my newsletters like that. Let us show humanity what's possible with ascension, because we do have to demonstrate, have to show, way shower, show the transformation. Not going in a cave and resurrecting and see you later. It's not like that. It's not like that. We're actually going to collectively show a completely different way to be, a completely different realm of beingness. And if all the things that have been shown for this year are correct, um, it's going to be a very visible, palpable demonstration of what's possible with ascension, which is fascinating. Fascinating. So don't hide, but definitely take care of yourself, you know?
Yes, beautiful. All right. Well, as we say goodbye, I have a question here. Really sums up questions from our group. And I want to thank our group for all of these questions. So, you know, here we are in this new decade, and we've counted down the other, the years 2012, 2016, even. And so there's some to say, in the next 20 to 30 years, what can we expect? But really, um, how strong is, here's one particular comment, how strong is 2020 compared to 2012 or 2016? And then the next 20 to 30 years, in your opinion?
Completely different consciousness, completely different animal, completely different. You have to realize that everything just changed to, mm, I'm sorry, I have notes for my weekend thing. And one of the notes is we are currently experiencing something that happens in the future. And that's something that, I'll dig into, but we're currently experiencing what the original 2012 was supposed to feel like. So the backup plan for the whole ascension, because it didn't, that's why there were so many predictions. It's just going to flip. It's just going to flip. December 21st, everything's going to change. And it just, we weren't ready. The collective consciousness was not ready. The grids weren't ready. The new Earth crystalline grid system wasn't even activated yet. Now that it is, we have containers for a completely for what's already created, and it's a completely different animal. It's completely different. You can't even compare. But the frequencies and the sensations that a lot of the embodiers, again, it's not something that happens to you; it happens through you. So the whole reason for the ascension process and the preparation and everything and the embodiment phase that started in 2018 was so that we had enough beings on the planet, enough DNA on the planet to be able to experience that incredible embodiment process and start really activating the divine templates for the divine human. So it's going to be like dominoes because we're all going to go off. Our DNA is going to activate these different codes and these different experiences. Then you can start describing them, and because it's not one person, it's thousands of people, then it becomes a million people. It's going to spread. So there's really no comparison between the energies and the frequencies of 2012 and now, because we're actually experiencing a future creation in the now. So as far as like linear time goes, a decade or what, it's not even going to feel like that anymore. Time feels completely different. I know it's hard to hear people like me talk about it sometimes if you're not having that experience, but you must be curious about it because you're on Lorent's show. But it is a very non-linear experience. It's here and there. It's not one or the other. It's not I'm on New Earth, I'm on Old Earth. It's a multidimensional experience. So you still have appointments, I still have a calendar, I'm still doing linear things, but I'm also having the bigger experience that is overriding the lesser experience. And eventually all of your consciousness just morphs, raises, embodies the higher consciousness completely. We're feeling that surrender. You're feeling the death of the old self. Um, and it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. and it's difficult and it's challenging. That's why so many people drop out. You start an ascension process and they're like, I can't even, forgive my dad, let alone, go through ascension, and they just stop, and then the frequencies like this come and are available and are dismantling the old stuff, and people get torn apart because they haven't been able to forgive. They haven't been able to transmute their density, to be nice, to be kind, to not talk crap about other people. Enough, enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you have discernment, you have your opinion, you're entitled to self expression. But for goodness sake, just at least prerequisite, in my opinion, or something like that. There's a new way of communicating. Another a very important module in the Wayshower Empowerment class is communication. It's very important that everyone express themselves. However, uh, try not to fuel duality
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
agendas that you do not agree with.
Don't
Don't
take
put your
sides.
focus or your
Right.
energy into, yeah, taking sides or saying they're going to do this or we're going to do that. Enough. Enough. Yeah.
This is really where solutions are to be presented. And that's where we focus on using these creative energies that are amplified. So, have you felt time, well, linear time, have you felt like it's accelerated?
Yeah. And the
Like
interesting
not
thing
enough
is
time in the day?
they always used to describe, I don't know if you've ever seen those documentaries on the Dalai Lama, and they're like, oh, he experiences time in this very fast, kind of nonlinear way. And I was like, yeah, it's like that. It's like fast, and then but there's I get a strong sensation of time just stopping altogether.
Yes.
I feel that a lot, especially when I'm outside. I'm like, the stillness, everything just stops completely, and I love that, because then, and yes, the clock is still ticking or whatever, that doesn't matter to me. I'm like, the experience of being in 0 point, those little time stop moments are wonderful. But yeah, I mean, time is like, it's like I just get out of my pajamas, now I'm getting back into my pajamas. It's like, the
You might as well just stay in your pajamas.
I try to make an effort.
Of
but
course you do.
but it's just, and then there's, you also get that sensation of like, I just went to the gym like 10 minutes ago. What are you talking about? Like, all of a sudden it's time to go to the gym again, and then put on the same clothes and get into take the shower again, the sauna again. You're like, my God, this is madness. Just, it seems like, whoa. So you try to mix it up as much as possible. I try to encourage people, take the different route, mix up your day, do the new thing. Don't run the
Yes.
same path every morning and do the same exercise. Like, don't listen to the same music. Mix it up, otherwise you feel like you'll feel the density. You'll feel the density of it, like, oh my God, I can't possibly do this again. It's like, eat different things, do different things, meet different people, try something new, go to a dance class, meet new people, read a different book of poetry, whatever. Just mix it up, because otherwise you'll see, as the dismantling of this, the hamster wheel, as there's a dismantling of the hamster wheel, same day, same activities, keep going, keep going, keep going. That will drive you nuts. So that's as that gets dismantled and is dissolving out of our reality, hopefully lower folks will experience it too. Ooh, I'm going to share a really cool story in the after party, about interesting things happening with the lower realms. But yeah, you got to mix it up. Got to mix it up. Yes,
Mix it up.
meditation always, but maybe, maybe even mix up your meditations, or a different kind of gratitude journaling or something, just something. Because otherwise, if you, because it'll lower your vibe, or you'll start feeling lonely and depressed, of like, oh, I can't stand the lower realms, blah, 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 focus on the creation of the new. How
Yes.
would your day in New Earth go, beloved, if you really feel that it's somewhere else? What would it be like? You start living New Earth in the now. We've been teaching that for 4 years now. New Earth
Yeah.
now, like practice. What does your New Earth desk look like? What does your New Earth activity look like? Probably not hanging out on Facebook complaining about ascension symptoms, like, come on, everybody, let's elevate.
Happy elevating, happy creating, happy
Mhm.
mixing it up, everyone.
Yeah.
We thank you. If you're watching this or listening to this, you are a new earth leader and a new earth way shower. If you need the tools for that, check out Sandra Walter's courses right here at acoustichealth.com. You could also go to the quick link bit.ly/Sandra Walter offer. I'm going to put that up right here on the screen one more time. We're going to say goodbye right now, and we'll see you all in the after party if you'd like to join us. Sandra, please share with us a goodbye greeting, departure greeting.
Do your best, beloveds. That's all. Just love yourself so deeply that you cannot help but love others. Celebrate everybody, no matter what they're doing, no matter what's going on. Just go, yeah, okay, I can see that. And we can always, always look for your room for improvement. It's like, how could I get better? We're all going through it. So little by little, what could I do right now to really lift, raise myself, someone else, something, kind word, observation, suggestion in the nicest way that you can muster, you know, and be real. Just be real with people, because when you are real with people, they automatically drop their armor, you know, kindness. Go out and do those random acts of kindness, 3 a day. Go.
Go on now.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sandra. Wonderful wisdom for ascension and living on New Earth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, now it is time to dance our way to the cosmic heart. We'll see you in our after party on Zoom in about 5 minutes. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.